So this one question gets very confusing for international students in Australia, which is what's the difference between a full-time, part-time and a casual employee. And there are some recent changes that were made to the casual employment in Australia. So we are going to discuss what is the difference between the full-time, part-time and casual employee, and what are some new changes in regards to casual employment in today's video. So make sure to stick around till the end. So to make it easier to understand these type of employments, let's divide them into different categories. So the first category is hours of work. So if you are a full-time employee, you are expected to work around 38 hours per week, and you could be also asked to do some reasonable overtime work as well. Now the reasonable overtime work has not been defined, so it has to be agreed between you and your employer. So if you are a part-time employee, you work usually less than 38 hours per week. So you do have fixed number of hours you will work for. It could be 35, it could be 20 hours, it could be 15 hours. It depends upon your agreement with your employer. And your hours of work may vary depending upon the different type of occupation or your visa conditions as well. However, if you are a casual employee, there are no certain guarantee of minimum number of hours you will receive in a week. So in some weeks you might get 10 hours, in other weeks you may get nothing, and in the following week you may get 38 hours. And you may be asked to work on a different days in a week as well. So you get irregular work hours instead of getting fixed hours. So that was the first category in regards to the hours of work. Now the next category is wages or salary. So full-time employees usually get a fixed amount of money each week in regards to the ordinary hours of work they do. So they usually get paid based on the annual salary, and they usually are not entitled for any overtime work. With the part-time employees, they get paid based on the hours they work in a week. Again, it is usually pro rata based on the annual salary, or it could be paid based on hours they have completed as per the agreement. Now when we're talking about casual employees, they get paid on hourly basis, but they receive 25% additional money, which is known as casual loading. They get this additional payment because of the insecurity of the work, as casuals are not entitled to specific amount of hours each week. So they get this 25% extra casual loading on the hourly rates. However, when we're talking about wages, we also talk about superannuation. Now all the employees, regardless of your employment status, are entitled to get superannuation. There are some minimum requirements to meet each month. If you meet that, you are entitled to your superannuation. A superannuation is basically a retirement fund. You can't touch this money unless you're leaving the country for good or you're retiring. Now the next category is benefits. Now if you're a full-time employee, you are entitled to 4 weeks of annual leave, 2 weeks of personal or carers leave, and 2 days of compassionate leave. All these leaves are paid. So part-time employees are also entitled to annual leave, sick leave and compassionate leave, but they are calculated based on the pro rata, which means based on the amount of hours they work in a week. So a person who's working 30 hours per week will get more annual leave and sick leave to the person who's working 20 hours per week. So basically it's calculated based on the hours you work. However, if you're working as a casual, you're not entitled to any paid annual leave, paid sick leave or paid compassionate leave. However, you are entitled for 2 days of unpaid compassionate leave, also 2 days of carers leave, and 5 days for domestic violence leave. Now the next category is public holidays. So when it comes to public holidays, full-time employees usually get paid on a public holiday even if they're not working. That's usually part of their contractual agreement with their employer. Part-time employees, however, will get paid if the public holiday falls on the day of their work. So if it's the day that they're supposed to work and the public holiday fall on that day, they get paid for that. However, if they're not working and the public holiday falls on that day, then they basically don't get paid. So a simple example, if you are working on Wednesday as a part-time employee and a public holiday falls on Wednesday, then you're entitled to get paid for that. However, if you are a casual employee, you don't get paid on a public holiday, unless obviously you are working on that day. So the next category is flexibility. Now when it comes to flexibility, full-time and part-time employees have much less flexibility as compared to the casuals. Full-time and part-time employees usually will have to work their contracted hours, and they will have to apply for leave if they have to go and take some time off. However, as a casual, you have a much more flexibility and freedom. So if you don't want to work on a specific day or specific shift, you can decline to do that. The last but not the least is termination of employment. Now, full-time and part-time employee, when ending an employment, both parties, which means the employer and yourself as an employee, must give a written notice to each other. Now, when ending an employment as a casual, you do not usually need to give any notice, or it can be done with a very short amount of notice that can be given in regards to the termination. But there may be sometimes a clause in your contract of employment that you may need to give some notice before ending the employment. Now, these were the key differences between full-time, part-time and casual employees. But as I discussed earlier, there are few changes that were recently made in regards to casual employee in Australia. So the three major changes include: the first one is that the casual employees must receive a casual employment information statement at the start of their new job. When you are getting hired in Australia as a casual employee, you must receive this casual information statement. The second big change is in regards to the definition of casual employee. Now, in the previous time, there was no specific definition of a casual employee by Fair Work Australia. Now, a casual employee has a specific definition, which is a person is a casual employee if they accept an offer for a job from an employer knowing that there is no firm advance commitment to ongoing work with an agreed pattern of work. In a simple and easy way, if you have been offered a job knowing that there is no specific hour commitment by the employer and you accept that offer, you are a casual employee. So if you are going to work for this sort of a job role, you know that you will get some irregular work hours. And last but not the least is casual conversion. Basically, it is a pathway for casual employee to become a full-time or part-time employee. So all casual employees who have worked for at least 12 months in a business and have been working on a similar sort of hours for the last 6 months will have a right to convert into part-time or full-time work. Now, this does not include small businesses which employ 15 or less employees in their business. But for any other employer, they must provide you with a part-time or full-time option if you are working and meeting those conditions. And if you are working in Australia, we would love to hear from you how you are employed in Australia. Are you a part-time, casual or full-time employee? As you know, some industries at the moment in Australia, you can work full-time hours. We have recently created a video on that as well. So make sure to check the video link in the description. And if you do find any value in this video, please don't forget to share with your friends as well. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.